Good afternoon, I'm Michael O'Donnell. This is speech number 4. Before we begin, I would like to let you know that I have attached a PowerPoint presentation that if you'd like to follow along with that, with this speech, feel free to do so. That is my visual aid for the speech. Alright, the purpose of my speech is to inform you about U.S. Transcom and TRACES, the Transcom Regulating Command and Control Evacuation System. Alright, for you to understand about Transcom's mission, I'm going to have to talk about the responsibilities, the policies, what TRACES is and does, and the patient movement requirement centers. Now, some of the responsibilities of U.S. Transcom are: they're tasked for the global patient movement, that's the movement of patients globally across the globe, right? Joint policy guidance and doctrine, and the patient movement requirement centers, which is 4 of them, which we'll get later on into this brief, or this speech, I say. So now that you know about the responsibilities of Transcom, now I want to tell you about the policies that govern it. All right, some of the policies that govern Transcom are DoD Directive 6000-12, and that directs Transcom to say, hey, it's U.S. Transcom, you're the policy owner, process owner for patient movement. All right, the next one is DoD Instruction 6000-11, and that instructs how the patient movement process works, how Transcom is going to go about doing patient movement. And then we have Joint Pub 4-02, and that states how we're going to do about the patient movement in a joint environment. Okay. So now that you know a little bit about some of the policies, now I want to talk about TRACES and what it stands for and the vision of TRACES. All right, TRACES stands for the Transcom Regulating Command and Control Evacuation System. The command and control, the C2 aspect, is very, very important piece of it. All right, to go back a little about a little bit of history about this, TRACES came up in July of 2001. All right, think about what happened before 2001. The Gulf War. We had some serious issues of being able to track patients and know where they're at during the Gulf War. So, and that's why Transcom was tasked, and they came up with this system called TRACES. Right? TRACES, that's what sold everybody on TRACES, was the C2 aspect, the command and control. Being able to know where that injured soldier, Marine, airman is at all times. All right? The primary interface of TRACES is web-based. All right, so if you get an internet connection, you can get the TRACES. You just need a username and password to be authorized to have access to it. Right? And it's used by your PMRCs, which stands for Patient Movement Requirement Centers. All right, your fixed and deployed medical treatment facilities. So MTFs stateside and MTFs in a deployed location have access to TRACES. And your command and control units. Your command and control units are units that aren't necessarily medical, but have someone in there that tracks to where some of their injured soldiers, Marines, airmen are at. All right, now the TRACES vision. All right, the TRACES vision, what I want to talk about is to manage patient movement with total visibility and worldwide responsiveness. All right, total visibility. That gives you the capability of knowing where the patient is at all time. All right, one of the things within TRACES is ITV. That's your in-transit visibility. That's going to give you the capability to know where that soldier is from its origination, from their origination to their destination. All right, so now that you know some of the benefits of TRACES now, I want to talk about the PMRCs, the Patient Movement Requirement Centers. All right, your Patient Movement Requirement Centers, like I stated before, there's 4 of them. All right, and they're located across the globe. All right, first you have the Global Patient Movement Requirement Centers. All right, they're located at Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. They're in charge of all the patient movements within NORTHCOM and SOUTHCOM, so the continental U.S., Canada, and SOUTHCOM. All right, then you have your TPMRCs, your Theater Patient Movement Requirement Centers. We have 2 of them. One in the Pacific, that's at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, and then we have another one, TPMRC-E, at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. And then our 4th one is called a Joint Patient Movement Requirement Center, a JPMRC, and that's at LED Air Base Qatar. All right, and that is supporting your patient movement within the AOR of CENTCOM, so Afghanistan, Iraq, It used to have access for the Horn of Africa, but all your injured patients within the AOR, they get them out of there. The JPMRC gets them out of theater to a higher echelon of care. All right, and what they do is they validate that a patient movement request that's submitted from traces from that origination MTF, and they match it with a capability on the fear end. So they match whatever's wrong with a patient, they match it at the destination. All right, flow of patients. We have where they're located at, a map of where the PMRCs are located at. And the next gives you, it tells you where you would be able to see traces on the battlefield. If someone gets injured on a battlefield with them being moved from a level 1 or a level 2 facility, nowadays they're changing this up a little bit and calling them roles. But usually at a role 2 facility, that's where you'll be seeing your traces access at. All right, and then they're being moved via mil-air. All right, so the majority of the patients being moved in traces are going to be aeromedically evacuated out with a fixed-wing aircraft. All right, this is going to be like your C-130s or your C-17s out of theater. All right, fixed-wing aircraft, aeromedical evacuation. And they're going to get it moved on for a greater a place that has the capability to take care of the patients. All right, so that's a little bit of history of the flow of how the patients will flow from an initial point of injury, for example, and this is from within CENTCOM of how they'll flow out. All right, so now I hope you've learned a little bit of something new today about US Transcom and traces, the system of traces. A little bit of brief. This is a short brief, 7-minute speech. This used to be a 45-minute speech, but I've turned it into 7 minutes. So you have a good night. God bless. I hope you learned something. Good night.